It's Friday, October 17th, and I was originally supposed to work today. It was supposed to be the first of 4 days, but they had changed my schedule, and I had decided I was going to go in there and talk to a manager face to face instead of trying to email or call. And I had already gotten in by name through on a tarot reading the name of my taxi driver as someone who's part of this, whatever, sacrificial cult, like blood cult. And I didn't really want to believe that because he seemed like a really nice guy and a little, like probably at least 10 years older than me. Black guy, just seemed real nice and, not any romantic interest or anything, just seemed like a nice guy. And I started thinking, do I have a cousin named Gerald? Could it be a different Gerald? And this was several days ago. So I just kind of filed that away. And he had suggested the other day someone I could rent a room from. I had a phone conversation with that person. That was another black man, probably closer to my age. Sounded really good looking or whatever. I was kind of later thinking about that, and I was thinking about some of these illusionists and just they're dealing with, dark arts, and I was thinking maybe it was more of some kind of a lustful spirit that he tried to maybe attach to me, but attached to himself, or I don't know how to even say it, but maybe what was making me find him attractive, his voice or whatever, was something in the way of dark magic, basically. And I rebuked it, and I said no, I said out loud, not on the phone to him, but I just said out loud, no, I'm not interested. You're not where I'm at. Spiritually, I already know you're not. There's no way you are, and I don't care what you look like. I don't care how good you look or how good you sound. No. And I just said it out loud, no, I'm not interested. I'm not. There's not gonna be any chord, And I already quickly determined I'm certainly not gonna rent a room from him. And even though the hotel's a little bit more expensive, there's a certain extra security that comes from being in a hotel, even though it's not the kind where you enter into the room from the inside of a big building. Not that kind of security, just, there is management, and, it certainly isn't the greatest place, but more than some, private renting a room out of some house from this guy. Anyway, I started to to maybe give a little bit more credence to the download, or somehow spirit guides warning me about the taxi driver, and this was his associate. So then today, I needed the ride to go to work, even though I was not really going to truly go to work. I was hoping they would let me work for the day, and anyway, I didn't really know what was going to happen. And so I called, I texted the guy last night, the taxi driver, give him a heads up, and that's what I've been doing. And then he actually texted me at 5 a.m, when I've been sleeping, would, this time work at 7, I think it was 7:30, for him to pick me up. And I said yes, and then it was 7:10, and I touched base with him, and I actually asked him for the backup, a different guy, completely different, another, guy like him. He's just a completely private taxi driver. And I asked for his number as a backup in case I ever had, a way that I couldn't get a hold of this first guy, Gerald. And so I asked him to text it to me, and he did. And this is the taxi driver I've used once before, months ago, but I had misplaced the number. Anyway, and I said, but I'm still, using you this morning, and I'll see you in 20 minutes? And he texted yes. And then literally 7 minutes later, he said he was stuck. He didn't say in traffic, he just said he was stuck, and he was sending his other driver, and it would be a black van. And I was like, immediately my heart just kind of, this is only through text, but my heart like started racing and I started feeling like not a good feeling. And I felt like I was supposed to be listening to that. And I was like, okay. And so I texted him back, actually, he texted me. He said he told me the new guy's name is Tyler. And he said, Tyler's out front waiting for you. It's as if Tyler didn't have my number to text me himself. So, it's kind of, he's telling me the guy is out there waiting for me. So I instinctively texted, did you do a background check? Because I know he'd supposedly just hired a new person and bought a new van. I just felt like there was something fishy about it, and that maybe this is like a setup. And with all the stuff I've been dealing with, I mean, without trying to, I don't go around living my life being paranoid, but I also feel like I know, at least now, like I'm supposed to pay attention to my intuition, and I was definitely getting a bad feeling. So he didn't respond, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go out there and just see how I feel. I'm gonna go and like take a good look at this guy. I didn't know if he was old, young, black, white. I didn't know anything. Just Tyler in a black van. So I go out front, and under the like little place you would pull up to pick someone up here at the hotel, there was this white guy and white woman, probably, maybe like 5 or 7 years younger than me, both kind of chubby, and they just didn't look like, it didn't look like a taxi. Like, he didn't look like he was a taxi. They look more like a mom and a dad, and, obviously there weren't kids with them. And I stopped on the side of the passenger, which is where the woman was sitting, and I motioned to them, and she kind of looked at me like, what do you want? And I said, excuse me. So she like opened her door a little so she could hear me. I said, excuse me. I said, my taxi driver said that there's a replacement taxi in a black van. I said, but y'all don't look like taxi. I said, you're not a, and then the guy was looking at me by that point, and I said, I looked at him in the eye, and I said, you're not a taxi driver, are you? And he wouldn't say yes. And then it was like really odd. It was like, it probably took him 5 or 7 seconds, and he said, if you're going to Love's truck stop. And I'm like, are you? And then I didn't acknowledge that. I didn't say yes or no or give any clue to what, if I was or wasn't or anything. And I said, are you a taxi driver? And he just like would not say yes. And I was like, okay, this is really fishy. There ain't no way in hell I'm getting in that van. That's what I thought to myself. And I just kind of like looked at them both, and I kind of like probably rolled my eyes, but I just like walked off really quickly. And it was like, daylight, early morning, enough people around, like no one was gonna like, I mean, get out and like pull me in the van or something. But I was kind of thinking as I was standing there before I walked off, like I kind of had like this like really quick, almost like, I don't even know how to put it, almost like, I don't really watch movies and stuff. I haven't watched movies in a long time, but like, I don't know, like, I just kind of have the thought of them like she was with him to help kind of to make sure they could overpower me, even though he probably could by himself. And I don't even know how to put it, like almost like in my mind in a really fast pace over just a couple of seconds, like almost like a scene playing out in my mind of them like getting me, grabbing me, and like I just feel very strongly they were going to, abduct, kidnap, whatever you want to say it, and murder me, most likely. And this is all going back to all the stuff that's been going on, and I don't think every tarot message out there is for me or anything like that, but there probably are like 2 readers in particular where it's like nearly every time lately for like months, everything is just so on point to what I'm dealing with. And here it was, and it's not even necessarily their newest stuff. Sometimes it'll be something that's like 5 or 7 months old, pop up on my feed as the first video. And I really feel like when that happens, that usually it's so accurate that I'm like, okay, like my guides are making this feed come up. Like this is so abstract that this like 7-month-old video is just gonna come into my feed. And the very first thing, this happened this afternoon, and after I'd gotten back and been back at the room for a while, and I didn't end up working or anything, and I didn't really get any answers actually there. Was that too much? Anyway, so one of the first things she was saying was she was talking about a dream she had. In the dream, that she was getting into the car with a woman she knew, and it was a man driving, and that she, like, in the dream, says that it's not so much someone she really knew, but she didn't know the man, and she didn't have a good feeling, and she was getting into the maybe it wasn't a van, but she was getting into the vehicle, and she was making a comment and making it be known that she did not trust him. And she said something like that she had like an intuition about like a crowbar being underneath the seat, and that they were gonna, I think she used the word kidnap her. And this was a dream, you know, that she was talking about. So she didn't actually like go anywhere with anybody. But if that wasn't a confirmation, I felt so strongly that was such a confirmation for me that these people, and the taxi driver, he never did respond to me, whereas I've been using him for like at least a week and a half regularly, going back and forth to work, and he's always been real personable and always, you know, responded, you know, with like yes ma'am or this or that, and he never leaves me hanging. I know he's driving and he might not respond like in the next like 10 seconds, but he always responds like probably within under a half an hour. He never responded to my question about did you do a background check. It was just this really odd, very early, like fishy, you know, situation. And it's like, there ain't no way in hell I'm getting in the van with these people. And, you know, the tarot message, just that little part of the beginning. I mean, honestly, the whole tarot message was relevant because all this stuff keeps coming up about like groups and that are like child trafficking and feeding off of like pure energy, and whether it's of a child or someone like myself who has a childlike energy, and but just that beginning part was such a confirmation. And so I guess Mr. Gerald, I think you say Fasion is his last name. It's Fasion. You know, I guess he's part of this. And the only thing I really regretted was that I didn't take a picture of the license plate as I was approaching the black van, because, you know, later when all this stuff comes out, if I had, then they could track the, you know, vehicle and see who the owner. Well, maybe, I don't even know who the owner is. I don't know that I believe that it's a van, that the taxi cab person, but I don't believe it for a minute. He's a taxi. He just wouldn't even say it was a taxi driver. It was such an odd thing. Almost like he didn't want to say yes, because then, like, if I wasn't the right person, like, I would want a ride, and they weren't wanting to give just anybody a ride. Yeah, I don't know. It was just so odd. And so, I don't know at this point, like, you know, just everybody know where I am. I've already been feeling that some people know who I am, and some people around me who maybe have even tried to befriend me are part of this, because that's the way it goes. That's the way it's been when I was still oblivious to all of it. People who were trying to date me, people who were my, you know, female karaoke friends, all these people were, and I think of going to Green Turtle for karaoke on Fridays for, you know, a year. like majority of Fridays, most of those people are like Tennessee Chris and so many people. Oh my gosh, men and women, all they are is pedophiles and crazy psychos, and they know good and well who, my technical husband is, Tracy. It's all so crazy. I just want it to be over, and I feel I've gotten a message that things are hitting, the shit's hitting the fan, things are coming out. It's gonna come out this month. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna be like, okay, maybe I'm not psychic or clairvoyant or intuitive, and maybe I don't know shit, because that's already kind of how I'm feeling today. It was just like, I came back in my room after walking away from that van before I called my old taxi driver, whose number I just gotten. Again, before I called him to set up him picking me up, I was like, I just kind of sat on the edge of the bed, and I was like talking out loud. I'm like, I'm really tired of dealing with all this, and this is really more than what like I bargained for this morning. It's enough to just even be thinking about going up to Love's and dealing with work bullshit and them, stupid stuff. Certainly comparatively, it's so stupid. But things like, not wearing gloves and just not cleaning showers, right? Using the old dirty towels to clean for the next person. Just stuff. Just bullshit, really, compared to trafficking humans and murdering and things of that nature, It really does put the other in the perspective of it's not really anything. But I was like, I'm really tired of this. I don't know who I'm talking to, because I don't know who Spirit is. I don't know if it's just my higher self. I don't think it's Jesus. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's multiple spirits. And like I told them, I don't get down with you if you're the type that these other people call on to like offer up humans, but I get down with you, and I don't really give a fuck if you're a dragon or whatever. I don't care, as long as I don't care if you fuck up the wicked either. I don't care, as long as you're not some spirit that like gets off on like rape or murder and things like that nature. I really will say that I really don't know what all constitutes like the spirit world, and I'm really tired of all this. I probably wrote a couple poems today that really kind of, and I don't care if these enemies or whatever, like I don't care, they can know and if that means they throw more magic, well, the magic's not gonna hit me. Like, I'm so protected. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do return to sender. But I am so tired of all this. I'm ready for this to like go ahead and be made public, and it's taking so long. I feel that I've gotten confirmations that it's still coming and it's still gonna happen, and then it's like, and then it still hasn't. And then it's like, I've already won. It's here, like the new reality, it's already here. I've already manifested it. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm listing the hotel, don't know how to pay my next week rent, like, I don't have any more food stamps left for the month, maybe $6, like, yeah, I'm so abundant, you know what I mean? You just start to get kind of cynical, and it's like, what is this? Like, I believe, for crying out loud, but, all those years I believed, I believed the Bible when I should have let it go a long time ago, and I believed if I would just be submissive enough, I'd win the last spouse to the Lord. And, it's like beating a dead horse. It's like, I don't want to keep believing the wrong thing and wasting my time. But yet, I didn't go seeking to remove you, the Mennonites beheading someone, and for me to just kind of come into the understanding of all this stuff. And then when I got hunted and they tried to kill me that night, which led to me end up going to jail, within a couple days back in February, I didn't ask for that. I didn't want that. I didn't know anything. Of my whole family and this huge plot. I didn't know anything of that. And so between those two things, everything just opened up, all the understanding, and Ethan being murdered, and then the magnitude of it all is just it's just, especially when I was in jail and I had 4 months to just keep thinking about everything. It was I got all these intuitive downloads, and I really, really started to understand oh my god, I'm married to a con artist, and then with my Mormon background, I realized that I had been set up, and he's already married to someone else, and all of it just like a hole in the sweater just kept unraveling, and my mind kept understanding. I'm sure imperfectly. I'm sure I don't have all the details right, but it's pretty awful, and it's pretty extensive, and I'm so tired of it, all of this. I haven't seen my kids in about 4 months. I only saw them one night when I went home, and then stayed there overnight, sleeping with one eye open, right? This will become a movie. I will sell the rights for a movie. I will write books. And more importantly, I will be a billionaire who lives very comfortably. I'm not going to deny myself. But I'm going to do something for women like myself who are leaving abuse, and I don't know how it'll all work out in the ins and the outs and all of that, but I am gonna do for people what should have been done for me, and that's the point. And the point is also I am being used to orchestrate the takedown of these churches that are really cults, and their religion is just a guise, and they're just dark warlock and witches, and they're just so dark. It's just darkness, and that is the reason, and that's what really matters. And when I even think about my own personal situation, I haven't seen my kids, and facing homelessness, even that just really pales in comparison to even really consider how many people are living in some kind of, I've had some very kind of hazy, not very clear, more just an idea kind of vision of underground tunnels, literal underground tunnels, and women and children living in some completely horrid conditions and being trafficked. And I mean, I've been trafficked. This is trafficking, what's happened to me, but it makes it's hard to wrap my mind around the depth of all of this, but when I do try to think about when this kind of things come to mind, I'm on some level, it doesn't matter that I haven't seen my kids. It doesn't, It does matter. I love them, and I keep hoping, and I don't really like the word pray, but I mean, I was definitely asking spirit or whoever, my spirit guides, ancestors, whatever it is, like, please protect my children, like, just, I am married to a psychopath, and not only am I married to a psychopath, but there was a psychopath taxi driver and his girlfriend or wife, and they were going to, like, dismember my body. This is some crazy shit, and these psychopaths look like normal people, and there's whole churches, and they're feeding off of the few that are the innocent, visitors, or, probably not even members, but could be, but, like, this is crazy. This is fucking crazy. And I'm whispering because there's guys right outside the door. Their room is next door to mine, and I don't trust them. I had been friendly with them, like, played cards and hung out. I think I had a drink once, but I did not allow myself to have more than just a little. They drink quite a bit, but I know they're not on my level, and I know that, they certainly could be part of it. And honestly, 2 of their names have come up as, like, a warning, and of course a lot of people could have the name John, but the other guy's name he goes by the name Earl, and his name is really Corey, but his name came up several weeks ago, and once again I was like, no, not him, just like with the taxi driver, and I'm like, no, he's a nice guy. Of those 3 guys next door, he's the one I really kind of had more of a soft spot for. I'm like, nah, ain't no way. He's kind of like a younger, like a 29-year-old, like, kind of like fat white guy. Like, he's got a handsome face, but, I don't know. Just kind of felt sorry for him a little, but, like, ain't no way. No. He's not a bad guy. But, I don't know. With this whole van incident today, I think I'm gonna be more, no, I probably still will keep being a stubborn, and let's be honest, I want to say I'm gonna, like, listen more to the, when their name gets dropped, and, like, the name Chris came up the other day, and it's like, oh, there's this Chris that came to mind right away, and then there's this other Chris that came to mind later, and I was like, no, it's the one that you first thought of, that's the one it is, and it's like, I keep thinking, no, ain't no way, and that's a guy that works here at the hotel, helps manage the hotel. And his sister's name came up too. Her name is Sierra, and she's got these cute little mixed kids, and I'm like, no. I mean, and then it's like, I know I probably sound like I'm crazy, but it's like, this is so large scale. Imagine, like, I have spent, a year going to karaoke, and you get to know all these people. That all of those people are pedophiles and really crazy and do horrible things. And if there were non-guilty people part of the mix, they were, I don't know, like, the rare, person who just came once or twice and doesn't know any of the rest. But, like, these people have been targeting me, and it's like such a huge, it's like, it's like me against thousands, at least thousands. Yeah, thousands. If that's safe to say. Thousands goes into the hundreds of thousands, but it's literally me against probably minimum 2,000, 3,000. I mean, it has to be more than that. It's the Mennonites and the Mormons and all these, like, it is fucking crazy. I am so ready for this stuff to just, however it's going to, I keep waiting. And, like, the justice system is corrupt, the police are corrupt, and the only part of me that knows that this is coming out, no matter, despite, even though the government and the police and the law system and everything is full of corruption, but I really did get, like, you know, the understanding, and, you know, the last month or so, like, my guides, spirit beings, powers that be, that are, you know, fully aware of what's all is going on, much more than I'm aware, they will body jump into the, you know, officials' body and bring justice. Like, that's how this, if that's the only way this can be handled and justice prevail, then that is what they will do. And so, kind of in understanding that, I really, like, relax a lot about, like, okay, like, I don't have to worry that, like, but the judge for this district is corrupt and the police here had set me up and blah 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 blah. You know, it's like, no, it's going to come out. It is, and it's gonna, like, happen, like, overnight. Like, I'm not saying tonight, even though that would be fine with me. And I was guided to, you know, get my channel. I had hid my channel, and with my number being given out, and me being, like, solicited for prostitution, changed my number, did not give my number to anybody except for the taxi driver. And then now his friend, who was going to maybe rent the room from, and then the job. But, like, the first person I was gonna give it to was Tracy, my soon-to-be ex, the kid, you know, my kid's dad. And I remember, this is several days ago, and I was getting ready to text him, you know, here's my new number, and I was like, there was an intuitive nudge, pretty strong, like, no, don't give it to him. And then I started thinking about how I had been warned that, like, he had, like, somehow, like, was probably most likely like, remote viewing me. I don't know, maybe through my phone, I don't know. And I got to where every day I was turning off my camera and turning off like, mic access and stuff, so that nobody could listen, and just, like, using your phone against you. And I just started thinking about I'm not real tech savvy, but, like, things that someone who knew how to could do. And I was like, okay, I can see there's wisdom in not giving him my number, but that means my kids can't get a hold of me, and that means that my younger kids start to worry more, possibly. But I really feel like I was guided, and that between me hiding my channel, which was in response to being solicited for prostitution and wanting to protect my children who are on some videos and stuff, and, like, just my identity there, this is just about a week, and I feel in that week, me removing all video, anything that had my voice. I only started doing poems, typing the words out. That and taking away my ex having any access to, like, you know, using my phone because he didn't know the new number to, you know, spy on me basically in any way. That it was like a way of starving him completely of my energy, because I feel that I was shown, like, told, like an intuitive download, that like he was feeding off of even my videos were, you know, usually by voice, reading off my poems and stuff. And I feel that even me being solicited by these strangers and stuff for prostitution, which of course I did not do that, you know, I think that goes without saying, but I'll say it for the imbecile who's not understanding. But even that worked out somehow for good, because it got me to hide my whole channel and just really disconnect on a deeper level. And I feel that I won. That was like something that needed to be done, to like starve, just like a last starving him of my energy. And that karma is like knocking strongly on his door, and I don't know to what extent, but I know like a lot of people have probably killed themselves, a lot more people, because many people killed themselves the night that I was in the hotel back in February, and like swarms and swarms of police and gunshots, so many gunshots. And even though the police denied any gunshot in the area, like the whole government is so corrupt. Like everything is just, it's all a simulation, it's all set up. All the news is fake news. I was even thinking about whenever this stuff comes out and I'll be on the news, like it's rare that when there's something legit and like mega big that's going to actually like be on the news, you know, like it's like 99% bullshit. Like me and all this stuff that's gonna come out, it's gonna be the exception to the rule, and most people have no idea. Most people are just asleep, and they're just too busy trying to make the dollar. They're fully bought into the system. They've been conditioned very well, which, I mean, all of us spend, you know, a long time of our life that way. And then a lot of us wake up on different levels. Like, I've been aware of the Matrix and like that there is no like globe Earth, and you know, we didn't land on the moon, and and the presidents are all related, and it's all just, you know, Jackie Kennedy was Marilyn Monroe. There's a strong calic, or what do you call it? Not calic, like where the hairline, I have one too, but mine's not very prominent, but where the hairline, what is it called? Widow's Peak. So the hair was always worn forward. I think for Jackie Kennedy, and always worn more pulled off the forehead for Marilyn Monroe. And then with the bleaching process, you know, and then obviously the makeup and everything like that. And Lucille Ball is the now deceased, supposedly, but the Queen, like the Queen of England, who died recently. I mean, even like Michael Jackson was announcing he was gonna die when he was 60, you know, and then he did, supposedly. Like Elvis was alive until he was still alive, and hiding as Celine Dion. Celine Dion is actually Elvis's daughter. Like, these are fictitious names, but if you would look at Elvis's, was she his wife when she was real young? She looks just like Celine Dion. I've seen a picture, but Celine Dion was supposedly, that's a fake name. She was supposedly married to like an older guy, you know? I don't know his name. But that was actually her dad. That was Elvis, you know? And that's how they do, because like think about all the think about how much more money someone's worth when they're dead, and like their albums or their whatever their paraphernalia sells for so much more. But like these stars and stuff, like these music stars, like they're not really dying. Like Tupac is still alive, Biggie Small is going under the name of Cedric the Entertainer. The wives are the same, the names change. They both probably had weight loss surgery. They both lost a lot of weight. Like, it's all just a mirage. And, you know, and really overall I understand very little. I'm just giving you some examples you could look into. The search engines and stuff have gotten worse, much worse in the last 8 to 10 years. And they're hiding more and more because more people were waking up, at least to that level. But even when I understood those things, I was still not spiritually awakened. Like, you know, like third eye opening kind of thing, which came through healing like my body, like allowing myself to finally like have space to be safe, you know, to remove myself from people who made me you know, stay in that trauma response because you're scared, you know. And all the religious gaslighting and stuff, like all of it was like a system propped up to keep me stuck. And as I awakened is when they stepped up their game of trying to take me out. So like that's what the simulation is how it works. And conquering fear. When I left jail, I know conquering fear was the last thing I had to do to break out of the matrix, and I did. And Ocean's Gate was the coded, I've already said this on another video, but Ocean's Gate was the coded like false news story that was printed in USAA, but I got it through some feed that my guides had put onto my phone. Because I'm quite detached from the media, because I know it's bullshit. But there it was, giving the details of my marriage year, my age, the weight I had lost, the son that Tracy's continuing to molest to replace him feeding from me, which obviously I hate that that's happening. And like all of it's nuts. It's so nuts. And my story will be used, I've been told, my story will be used to change laws because, see, once again, I've never been punched. And nobody's gonna be able to deny what domestic abuse and or spiritual abuse, but especially domestic abuse, what it really is and what it entails, because people are gonna see firsthand like just how targeted and abused I have been, and yet I've never been punched. So we're gonna have to redefine, even though there's already things that would, you know, be out there to define that it's not about being punched, it's about control. But you know, even like the domestic violence shelters and stuff, like they don't want to help me because I haven't quote been hit or had experienced marital rape in like some time, you know. it's just all a bunch of bullshit. Things are gonna really change because of my story, and that's what really matters.